All right, I want to share a hashtag Love Wins story that's being shared all over Facebook. Last Monday, a small mosque in Pflugerville, Texas, it was vandalized. The entrance was blocked with pieces of torn up Quran and smeared feces. Police classified this as a hate crime, but the community of Pflugerville came together. Pflugerville Supports Our Muslim Neighbors event was organized on Facebook for this past Saturday. They had expected 70 people or so to show up. Instead, about 200 people attended the event, showing the Muslim community they are warmly welcomed. What one little boy did is what's making headlines. You see, the 7-year-old little boy emptied everything in his piggy bank, which was $20, and he donated it to the mosque. His act of kindness was picked up by BuzzFeed and has since gone viral. Joining us now via Skype is that little boy, Jack Swanson, and his mom, Laura, and Arslan Iftikhar, senior editor for the Islamic Monthly. Thank you guys all for joining us. Laura, I want to start with you. You had a conversation with Jack about what happened. What did you say to him?
When I picked him up from school, he got into the car and, we did our usual, how are you? And I said, something really awful happened today. I said, one of the churches in our town, I said, somebody was really mean. I said, you remember how we talked about Paris this weekend? I said, well, some mean people in our town decided to go and smear poop on their church and tear up their version of the Bible. I said, isn't that awful? And he said, oh, Mom, that's horrible. And you tell them in the way that they can understand, but he felt as bad about it as I did, I think.
Yeah, it seems like it. Jack, why'd you give all your money to the people at the mosque?
Because I wanted to help, and people are people, and they should always be treated the same way to each and everyone.
Wow, Jack, you're a very smart little boy for not having many years under your belt. I have to say that I wish a lot of other people out in the world thought the way that you did. Arslan, you're with us because you returned Jack's kindness with a gift. What was that gift, and why'd you do it?
Well, Yasmin, I saw the video of Jack's kind donation, and it literally brought tears to my eyes. I was kind of like, I'm not crying, you're crying. And so I reached out to my 80,000 Facebook and Twitter followers, and I said, can somebody get me in touch with his family? And I got in touch with Laura, and she and I started talking, and she told me that, he had been saving up, $20, doing 50-cent a chore things for several months, trying to save up for an Apple iPad so he could film his Lego creations. And so I was like, that's done. And so I sent him an Apple iPad on behalf of the American Muslim community, not only, so he, could, fulfill his creative vision, but also to show that no good deed goes unrewarded. I think in America today, we have to stand up for one another as allies, and that, an attack on any house of worship is an attack on all houses of worship. And so whether it's a church, synagogue, mosque, Hindu temple, Sikh gurdwara, Buddhist temple, we all have to stand up for one another. And Jack is literally the coolest 7-year-old kid that I've ever known in my life. So
Yeah,
thank you, Jack.
I think I can agree with you on that, Arslan. Jack, how'd you feel when you got that iPad?
I felt super, super excited when I got it because I've been saving up for it for about a year.
Wow. You were saving up for a year, but you still gave your money to that mosque. That is so incredible. Mom, I want to ask you one last question. What is your message to people who don't necessarily have an understanding of Islam in this country and around the world?
Well, I think that no matter what your faith or your moral background, that the best tool that you have is your testimony. If you want people to hear what you have to say, be the kind of person that other people want to listen to. Be kind, be patient, and if you have a doubt as to what you need to do, ask a child, because they generally lead with their heart. So, they won't steer you wrong.
Yeah, and they're always very honest. Jack, thanks you for being such an amazing little boy. Laura, thank you for being what seems to be an amazing mother. And Arslan, thanks for being a voice of a community that sometimes does not have it.